Hi class. We're going to take a look at creating this display area program that was an assignment. Kind of step through this so that you can submit it and get some recovery points. We're going to do this project. Now, a lot of this material is in chapter 9 of your Prelude to Programming. We're going to develop a menu-driven program that inputs a number stored in a variable x, and at the user's choice, finds and displays the area A of one of the following: a square, a circle, or an equilateral triangle. And then the different formulas are supplied here. We want to use a function for the area of each shape. So let's create this Python program. And I'm going to create my new file. And this is going to be Week11 display area.py. I guess I'll select Python from this list, make sure it does it properly, and save. Okay, so we're going to allow our user to display the area of a selected shape. Now, if I think about how I want this program to be laid out, I would like for it to be modular in approach. So I'm going to bring up Visio. And Visio is a product from Microsoft. It's available through your alliance with Microsoft and free software. And if you're not aware of that, please let me know so that I can get you links to videos. And I would like to create a data flow diagram. So I'm going to say choose basic flowchart in Visio. And my data flow diagram has these boxes. So this would be my main. Now, in my program, I'm going to need a welcome. And I think I'm going to need a menu input. And I'm going to need a number input. So we have a lot going on to get all of our input here, even for this program, right? If we wanted to, we could create a function that can control all of that too, that was called by our main. But we don't want to get things too complicated, so we'll just have our main call each of these different functions. Now, after we've got all of our data input, we can analyze the data to decide which calculation to perform. One calculation is going to be square. I'll call it square calc. Another one is going to be circle. Just remember, it says in our specs that we're supposed to create a function for each of these different shape calculations. And lastly, this will be calc triangle. Move all of these a little closer together. And then finally, I'm going to have an output. Now, this is a really nice hierarchy chart. Well, sort of. It's pretty basic because hierarchy charts are basic. But if I want to make it into a data flow diagram, I can include some information about the data that's flowing back and forth. So let's try this. If I start on my main and I can grab, oops, I'm going to go home first and I'm going to switch to this connector tool. Now you don't have to draw one of these using Visio. I'm just showing you how. And then I'm going to draw another one. To our menu input. And I want another line to our number input and another line to our square calc. Getting the idea here. Now, a lot of people used Word to create these diagrams. That's fine. You can tell that Word works just about as well as this tool that I'm using that was created for this. So that was a really good job on your part. Now I want to fix my diagram and put words in. So I'm going to add in my data flow. So to our welcome, we'll have no data flow. To our menu input, I'm going to try to grab this line and pull it up so that it's by itself. In our menu input, if I double click, I can create some information here. We will only have output from that, and we will have the menu choice. Now our number input will only have output from that function, and it will be the number, or actually X. Not a very good variable name, but that's what our assignment says, right? Okay, now for our square calc, when we do our square calculation, try to get the right line here. Whoops. Can't get it. Now I can. Now here's my line and my data here for this. I'm going to import or input X, and I'm going to output the square area. Now for my circle, I'm going to move it down so I can grab that line. I'm going to input the chosen number X, and I'm going to output the circle area. That will be A. I'll put A in this one too. So each of these is going to do the same thing. Now our triangle in the same way. My input will be X, and my output will be the triangle area is A. Let me move that a little bit. Now finally in our output, it's way over there, isn't it? In our output, we're going to have the following variables imported. We're going to need to know the choice And we're going to need to know, do you want the value of x? If not, we'll just need the area as a, so that we can output that information. Okay, so it's a little less than perfect. What I can do that will help a lot is change the color here. And then I could do the same thing here with this text. And then we could tell so you can see how if we were really trying to make a really fancy data flow diagram, we could do some colors and some different features in Visio to get it all cleaned up. But I want you to just look at this data flow diagram and think, oh, well, that's a little confusing, but it's not too bad. Our main function is going to call a welcome function. It's going to call our menu function, and our menu function is going to return the user's choice. Then it's going to call our number input function, which will return the user's number. Based on the user's choice, we will either call the square calc, the circle calc, or the triangle calc to calculate our area.
Hi.
And then finally, we'll output it all. How are you?
Can we bring you up previous classes check-in?
Oh, sure, thanks.
How are you today?
Good, I'm making a video.
For us?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So if you think I'm talking to myself, I'm not. Thank you.
Oh, was the one under that for our class? I'm a ding dong.
Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, it is. You're so sweet this morning. They set it all out for me. Okay, so let's create our application then.
It's funny, I do the exact same thing when I'm working on any of my CIS class homework. I'm like, you use this formula, you use this formula.
Here we are. Okay, so here's our welcome.
Oh, finals on the 5th here? No.
Ours is, let me check. The 10th. Yep, the 10th. Okay, so we're going to print out our menu. Okay, so we're going to use that symbol as a prompt to let our user know that that's where we would like for them to type. Now, we want to save the information in a variable menu choice. And we've already prompted everything, so we don't need a prompt for that input statement. So that should work. We can try it. So right now, okay, so I have executed my main, and I am seeing this output. Try running this again. We see our welcome and our menu. Now I don't like the way this is going down a line, so I'm going to fix that. And instead of printing out that character, I'll make that character be our input prompt. Try to run that. And now our cursor is sitting right where it should be. Ooh, nice. Let's try it. 1. Yay. Okay, great. So far, so good. We have our first 3 functions already built. And now, whenever our menu input is complete, we need to return that menu choice to our main, and our main needs to save that in variable. Okay, now we have our menu input saved. The next function that we want to create is our number input. And we'll just print okay, so our number is going to be x. We want it to be an integer. And we use that same input prompt. We will return that number that the user types in. Now we can test that. Here's our menu. Say 1, and my number is going to be 320. All right, it didn't crash. That's good. So now let's do something with all of our information. Now in our menu, we asked for a numeric answer, but we didn't read it in as an integer. So we're going to need to test those as strings. If the menu function is 1, we're going to run our square calc function. We better create those. In our square calc, we're going to need the value of x to be passed to us. And in our square calc, we're just going to take the value of x to the power of 2. We want to use math.pow and saying, oh, you haven't imported math. So I better import that. I'll do that at the top of my program. Import that math library. So the way the math.pow function works is I say I want you to take this variable x to the power of some number, and in this case it'll be the number 2, and that should be our square calculation. Let's go ahead and define our calculation for our circle, and it needs that variable x, and we're going to return 3.14 times math.pow x to the power of 2. Now for our triangle calculation, we're going to use the square root. So math.s, oh, there it is, sqrt. And I want the square root of 3 divided by 4 times x to the power of 2. So that should be all of our different calculations. So if our menu item was 1, we want to call the square calc. Oops, and we're going to save our answer in that variable a. Our calculation needs the value of x to do the calculation. And finally then, we're ready to display our output. And we need to pass the value of A. Oh, and we decided we wanted to pass our menu choice to our output function. Let's create that output function. Now I could make that much fancier, right? I could say the area of the circle is, the area of the whatever is, so I'll leave that up to you. So here's our menu choice. Let's choose a square. Or, that doesn't seem right. Let's try it again. Square. 4. Let's see what's going on. So in my welcome, we don't return anything, so that should be fine. In our input, we're returning our menu choice. Number input, we're returning X. And in our main, we're capturing X and setting it to each of our different calculations. So I think I'll set the debugger up to set a breakpoint here at line 23, and I'll use the debugger. I want to choose a square because that's how I've got my debugging set. And I want to use 4. So it never ran my square calc, so there's a problem with our if statement. If menu equal so I'm going to move this and set it down here. Okay, so let's do some debugging. We have a problem here. I clicked on the debug icon, and I'm going to click the run. Okay, I'm going to choose an option 345. And it says the area is 3. So I'm obviously getting something mixed up. I did some debugging while I had it paused. And what I see is in our main, when we call our output, we pass our menu choice followed by the answer. And then our output method, when it accepts parameters, it expects the answer followed by the menu choice. So since those are backwards, we're getting unpredictable results. So I'm going to fix that. And now let's see if we're in better shape. Choose our option. 145. Oh, that looks much better. Now I'm going to run it again. 2, oops. 215. And there is the area of our circle. One more time. And our triangle. So I'm going to bring this code in view for you and review it up at the top. We have our comments. We had to import the math library because of math functions that we will be using. We have a function named welcome. We have a function named menu input that displays the menu, asks the user for their choice, and returns their choice. We have a function that inputs a number. Please enter the number to use. We return the number they input. We have a function that calculates our square area, our circle area, and our triangle area. In all of these, we use the math library, POW or POW function, to get a square, or x to the power of 2, basically. And in the triangle, we also use the math library to calculate a square root. We call our output function to output our information, and our main is the driver that does all that work. Leave that there on the screen for you. So hopefully you've got all that. It's a challenging program, but you should have it under control now. Thank you.